Welcome to Members First, the Toastmasters District 69 podcast. Here is your host, District Director Barbara Nielsen.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our first session of Members First. It's going to be a monthly edition where we'll meet members from all over the district and find out about their stories and their Toastmasters history. Today we have a very special guest, distinguished Toastmaster Clare Murphy. Welcome, Clare. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Barbara.
That's good. So first of all, Clare, how long have you been a Toastmaster?
Oh, I joined about 40 years ago. As a matter of fact, at the renewal of our semi-annuals on the 1st of October, it will be 40 years.
Wow, that's a long time. So why did you join and why do you stay?
Well, funnily enough, I joined for the social aspect of Toastmasters. My uncle was a member and I was a detective senior constable. And of course, the only people I ever knocked around with was police. And I knew that Toastmasters had parties and I quite enjoyed the parties when I went to them. So I decided I'd join the club. And it was at that stage that I realised that I could have fun in the meetings, but I didn't realise just how much I was gaining until later when I was going and speaking in public. And I found that I was a better presenter, I was prepared beforehand, and I presented professionally. And as for why I stay, the list is long, but oh goodness. I think that the first time it really impressed me as to why I was staying was when after I'd been an international director and I thought I would go a bit higher and I wasn't successful and I was quite devastated. And I found that going to Toastmasters meetings pulled me out of the doldrums. I was visiting other clubs as well as my own club, and I found that rather than staying home and feeling miserable, I went out to clubs and just saw what a wonderful job they were all doing. And so I stayed. And then, of course, once I retired, I thought, well, I don't really want to be bothered with it anymore. And so I was sort of inactive for a little while, but I kept doing things for people. They kept asking me to do things. And now I'm in an advanced Toastmaster club, and I just love it, because I'm finding the challenges again with the pathways. I am enjoying, and have been enjoying for a few years, mentoring members who want to go higher in the organisation. And I'm just finding a new lease on life in it.
That's great. That's great. Now, you did mention international director there. We'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, I want you to talk about your career outside Toastmasters. You've had an amazing career in the Queensland Police Force. So how did Toastmasters help you with that?
I was in the police service for a number of years before I joined Toastmasters. And as I said, I joined for the social aspect and then found that it was actually helping me when I was going out and doing presentations at various groups in relation to juvenile crime, alcohol and drugs and things like that. But where it really came into its own was when it came to promotions, because I ended up getting a couple of quick promotions. And I believe that it really was the fact that I had great skills and was able to do interviews really well. And also I had learned at that time that the evaluation system in Toastmasters is so vital to everything we do elsewhere. So you became very analytical about things, and you learnt not to say something critical unless you could point out a point for improvement. And I think it's those sorts of things that really helped me, particularly when I became an inspector, because I was a senior sergeant and less than 6 months later, I'm promoted to inspector and my head was spinning. But I found that when it came to doing personal performance appraisals, none of us had any idea what we were doing because it was something new in the service. And I found that by being able to evaluate, I used those skills and I'd say, well, these were your goals and Do you think you met them, or do you think you didn't meet them, and what I thought and how we could make it better next time or improve and have greater challenges next time. And my senior sergeants used to say to me, "You're the best boss we've ever had." And I think it's because I actually listened to them, and rather than saying, "You're doing this wrong," saying, "This could be improved, do you think? Well, maybe this is a way to go." So it really helped me tremendously.
That's great. And, you know, that's one of the key elements of pathways, isn't it? The transferable skills and what we can all gain out of Toastmasters.
Exactly. And the thing is that when we learn to evaluate, we are learning a communication skill that is going to hold us in good stead for anything we want to do in the future. So I know, for example, when I'm helping people to go to higher levels in Toastmasters, that if they have that good analytical skill, they are able to move up to a higher level. And then it's just a matter of coming up behind them and saying, "Okay, you're doing well now, what are you going to do next?" And
Yep.
taking it up to a higher level. Yes.
Yep, that's great. Now, of course, you also achieved some amazing things in Toastmasters. So will you please tell us about your leadership journey and your leadership experiences in Toastmasters?
Okay, well, I guess the first time I really thought of myself as a leader was not when I was a club officer, but when I took on area governor, which is now area director role. And I was being challenged by my uncle and others who would say, "What are you going to do, and why are you going to do it? How are you going to do it?" And I suddenly realised, gee, this is really fair income. I just thought you'd put your hand up and you got it. As I went on then, I took on a higher office, and then the next year I took on another higher office, and I just kept going until I was district governor. And when I was at international convention in Toastmasters, like in the US, and I saw what was going on there with the international directors, I thought, I'd like to be on the board. And so I decided that that's what I would do next. It put shock and horror into some of my friends, because at that time, and probably even still now, I was as subtle as a train smash. I'm one of these people who's, if I think something, I say it. And sometimes it's not necessarily what people want to hear. So I had to tone it down a bit, learn to take all the hard edges off my presentations. And that helped me a lot when I was going for international director, and it really stretched my thinking of strategy, like where is the organisation going, and why do we do these things, and how can we do them better? So I really enjoyed that leadership aspect. It's something that I enjoy seeing more, Barbara, in others, because I find that whilst I gained a lot from Toastmasters, I like seeing people that I've been mentoring going on now and gaining further levels. And I like seeing how they're learning and growing. And I think to myself, gee, they're smarter than I am. But at least I can say, well, I helped them to get there.
I don't think there's many people smarter than you are, Claire. You're an amazing, amazing lady. What advice would you give to members when they first join Toastmasters?
Well, it's easy to say, but the first thing is relax and just enjoy what's happening in the moment. I know that when we all walked through the door of our first Toastmaster meeting, we were really scared. We had no idea what was going to happen, and we were terrified that we'd be asked to speak. And then after a while, it sort of became a second thing. You just walked through the door and got on with the meeting. But I think I just say to people, give it a go for a little while. It will challenge you. And one of the things about being challenged is that it's very scary. So once you get over that scariness, then you start to see where you can benefit. And then the reason you stay will be totally different to the reason that you joined in the first place.
Yep.
I don't think I've met anyone yet who says that they joined for a particular reason and they stay for that reason.
That's interesting, and I agree. And then Sorry, we're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that Toastmasters has got so many different options to offer people, so many things to and opportunities to offer them, that there's a great plethora of things out there to do. And now with Pathways, it's allowing you to pick the particular aspects that you like, and you're able to move on with those. And that's what I really like is the new Pathways. It's brilliant.
Yep, that's great. So what advice would you give to any members who aspire to reach the international levels of leadership?
Firstly, I'd ask, why do you want to do it? Because it's fine to say, I want to do it, but it is a lot of work. It takes a lot of brain power, as in you've really got to think a lot of things through. You have to put yourself through a lot by being interviewed, by writing articles, by doing all sorts of things. And I think you firstly have to understand it's going to be quite a bit of work, because what people see in the end is someone who's been elected and everybody applauds and you think, oh, well, that was easy, wasn't it? But there's a lot of work goes into it, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes helping you. The one thing is that you don't do anything, don't achieve anything by yourself. There are always people that have been there behind the scenes, advising you, giving you ideas, helping you out with different things so that you can go further. And the other day I was reading something about where the saying came from, if I can see further, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. And the thing is that when you decide that you're going to go for international level, it's very smart to talk to people who've been there. It's smart to talk to people who've tried to go there and find out what they've experienced and how they felt, so that when you're in that situation, it's not that totally strange to you. You've been there before because you've heard it from others before. And so you're actually standing on the shoulders of giants in order to see further. So I think you just gain so much. And when you see someone who has been a past district governor, then going for international director, and you see them 2 years later, it blows you away to see how much they've learnt and grown and achieved.
That's great, wonderful advice. And of course, we're just in the process now of preparing for our next lot of elections for international directors. So there's some great wisdom there. And
yes, and some great challenges too, Barbara, because we've never had to do it all via electronics before. And so all of a sudden people are saying, how do I do this? Because it's a brand new ball game. And the one thing about this situation is that Toastmasters, because their meetings have now been online, has really helped people to get used to technology and doing things that way. So it's funny how we're learning stuff in our club that we can then take and apply at work.
Yep. I've always believed that you need to turn a negative into positive somehow. And really, even though the world is in chaos at the moment with this massive negative, that's one of the positives that's come out of it. And Toastmasters has provided a great opportunity. So thank you so much for your time, Clare. You're an absolute icon where I'm concerned with Toastmasters, and one of Northern Division's treasures. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you for tuning in to Members First. We hope you enjoyed the show and will return again in the future. Bye for now.